all of the tools behind me that you see were not bought by me. They were given to me by an older gentleman. And this specific one is something special.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
So, me and my wife decided to go to Home Depot because I needed something to attach to the Dremel that I had. I didn't have enough money for an actual router for the build that I'm doing, and my friend lent me theirs, but it wasn't able to fit. So I knew that I could probably get an attachment for the Dremel that I got and make it a somewhat mini router to be able to get to the tight spot. While looking and trying to figure out what was right, also in the back of my mind, I knew there were some things that I wanted. You know, you go to Home Depot or possibly even Lowe's, Harbor Freight, Ace Hardware, etc. If you're like me, yeah, like you tell your wife, yeah, I'm going here for this, but in the back of your mind, you're also looking out for like 17 other things, right? And behind me, of where the Dremel was locked in the cage, there were electric planers. And there was an older gentleman, and I asked him, I was like, hey, sir, do you happen to know if Home Depot carries manual planers? And he said, yeah, I know exactly where they're at. I can show you. I was like, sweet, no problem. Let's go take a look. We walk all over there, and he's showing me, and I was like, okay, yeah, perfect, awesome, thank you. And he's like, hey, real quick, why do you want a manual planer? Why didn't you just want an electric one? And I explained to him that I am starting something. It's called Restore and Renew, and the premise of Restore and Renew is about effort. You know, the message of Restore and Renew is if you give deliberate, focused effort, you can achieve anything. And I explained to him that the foundations of what I'm choosing, where people look from the outside in, it's, you know, it's woodworking, it's DIYs, it's, you know, household projects. But at the core principle of what it really is about showing everybody with effort, you can do anything. And I chose like woodwork and craftsmanship specifically for this because I know that working with wood and actually trying to call yourself somewhat competent can take years or even decades, right, of deliberate, focused effort to maybe be all right, because there's so much that you can end up doing. So I gave him kind of the rundown of what Restore and Renew is. And he thought it was pretty cool, I guess. And again, he's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but like, why wouldn't you want to use the electric planer? And I told him, I was like, well, I'm new-ish to woodworking. I've messed around. I built things in the past. My past job for the past 8 years, very hands-on, technical, maintenance type of deal. And I wanted to start this right. And to give effort, I got to go back to what everybody used before electricity, in a sense, right? Now, not drills. I'm not going to go in there like carving out my own holes for that. But with a planer, that appealed to me, that it would take time and effort to really figure out how to do it. And I didn't want to skip it. I knew that starting at the basics of using the tools that old craftsmen used to have is what is probably being lost right now, currently in this day and age. And what I mean by that, and I explained to him too, was that it takes years and decades to become an actual like craftsman or someone competent or a master at woodworking. But to do that, you also have to fall in love with the process. And the process is messing up a whole lot and fixing it. And in a sense, creating this relationship, a weird way, creating a relationship with the wood in the project that you are working on. And you end up falling in love with it. I feel, and I told him that I felt like using an electric planer, like as an example, would skip all of that because yes, it's extremely fast. It'd be done in like 30 seconds, and a manual planer can take very long, especially if you're going to mess up. And I explained that to him. I was like, I want to do it the right way. I wanted to be able to fall in love with woodworking like all the old craftsmen did. And I wanted to choose a manual planer specifically for that. So I explained that to him. And he's like, you know what? I got something for you. Don't buy this. I have a manual planer at home. I actually have a bunch of tools at home that I can give you a really, really good deal for. And I was like, no, sorry, that's fine. I could pick this up. It's all good, no problem. And a little bit more back and forth, back and forth. You know, he has a son, his older son, he has a grandson, and he's like, he starts really pushing them on me at that point. He's like, hey, I will give you almost all my tools. I'm in my 70s. I don't even use them anymore. I want to give you my tools. And I'm like, sir, really, honestly, because I was picking up what he was trying to do. And I didn't want to necessarily do that because that's something that is passed down. You know, all these tools that I have, I'm going to give to my son. I'm not going to just sell them off. And there's an emotional attachment to the tools, especially for how old he is and obvious that he knows about woodworking. He has an emotional connection to those tools, and I didn't necessarily want to take that away from his son or anything. And I told him, I was like, no, give him to your son. That's completely fine. I'll do my own thing. And he's like, my son doesn't want to do it. He's into this and this and this. Like, come by tonight. I will give you everything that you would possibly need. So he kept insisting, and I'm like, all right, sir. Yeah, no problem. I'll be there. I get to his house, and he rolls up, and he has everything on the cart, and he talks about the certain different tools, and oh, I did this on this project. Oh, I used this on this project, or hey, yeah, I built this patio, or yep, this is this specific joint. And he was going on and on and on. And honestly, I was loving it. I had no problem staying there all night just listening to him, you know. And I felt that he also uh, was being heard on something that he really wanted to just spill out, you know. And I was trying to soak up everything that I possibly could. And this one, um, this is the planer that he was specifically talking about. So this planer, I have to look it up still, but he actually got this when he was a teenager, and this was already used, and he's in his 70s. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a tool, but it's more than a tool, right? Not only that, he also gave me all of the subscription magazines and books that he has collected over decades. I haven't gone through all of them, but I did see one from 1970, early 70s, 72, 1972. I mean, and if you know the magazines like Woodsmith or Shop, they're just full of knowledge and any knowledge that you would possibly want for woodworking. They go over DIY projects, cabinet making, joints, wood grain, tools, you name it, they're in there. And they're still going today. I'm probably going to end up getting a subscription as well too, because just perusing through them, even the small little bit, it's got some knowledge. And whenever he was telling me about all of the books and magazines that he's collected over the years, he specifically said, I've read probably every single one of these at least 3 times over. Every single page I've read 3 times over, and I've made about 90% of the stuff in it. So that's a lot. And you know, I was picking up the connection that he was telling me. It was, here's my knowledge that I can't sit down and give you one on one. So here it is in paper form. Basically, hey, here's my knowledge, read it. Here's my planer that I used to use, and I've had since I was a teenager. You know, I want you to use it. And it kind of leads me to this. This specific mallet, though, This one at the beginning of the video, if you remember, has had its wear and tear. It seems like it's been split twice. It's cracked down the middle as well. And he specifically talked about this one. I don't know if he meant to do it, but I definitely noted and picked it up on it. And the fact that he held it up in the air, he was looking at it. He said that he personally made this all wood mallet over 50 years ago. Right? So a lot of people, whenever they look at this mallet, they're like, "Oh, yeah, wood mallet, cool, good to go." But you know, if you actually look at it, right, it's been cracked twice. It's got a bunch of chips. It obviously has a whole bunch of dirt and grime and possibly sweat and I don't know what else, wood glue all within the handle itself. And I tell you what, this thing is still sturdy and it was built over 50 years ago. So this mallet, we are not going to be using. We're going to use everything else because everything is actually highly useful. For me, I really want to use the planers. As long as they're taken care of, they're good to go. And they look like they are taken care of as long as I don't mess them up. But this specific mallet, I think, has had its time. I think it has put in its work, and I think that it needs to be remembered in a sense, right? So we're going to actually make something very cool out of this. I did already talk to him. I say, "Hey, sir, I know you want me to use all these tools, but this specific one I'm not going to use." And he's like, "Why not? I want you to use it for your projects." And I was like, "I completely understand that, sir. But for me, I would like to at least make something to kind of, in a way, like a memento as a reminder of, the person that, for whatever reason, saw something in me that I don't currently see and entrusted me with all of their personal tools that they have spent decades and countless hours and I'm sure through the good times in his life and most likely the awful times in his life that he has seeked out these tools for reassurance and peace and somewhat calmness and the emotional attachment for it, that's a big weight. And you know so I told him, I was like, I want to make something to like a memento and I'm going to hang it up in the shop. I'm not sure exactly what I want to make yet, but I did tell him that whatever I do make, I will only be using your tools that you provided. And again, he provided basically everything that I would need to be able to make it. I do have some cypress wood that I'm going to make it out of that I think will be really, really cool for it. It's already aged, it's already dried, and I think that it's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I told him, he's like, "You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that." And I was like, "Sir, like, for whatever reason, you entrusted me with this, in a sense, your lineage, because you couldn't pass it on to anybody else. I will happily carry on the lineage, even though I'm just starting out." A little bit of a story for you. And projects are still going on the way, but this specific project is going to take some time. I know that you guys are going to want to see it. I might show a process video. I might not show a process video because I don't want to rush this by any means. Okay. I will show you everything. It will be another long form, just like this. I will also do the whole shorts, but this specific one, I want to take my absolute time with. I want to make sure everything's good, squared, perfect. Because, in a sense, this is essentially him hanging up his hat on something that he has done for decades and years. And for whatever reason, he entrusted me to do it. And as the last time these tools will be used for something that is attached to him, it's going to be damn perfect. If you have stuck around this far, I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you liked this, if you want to see the other projects, because they are ongoing, I have multiple projects going right now. I am so busy. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. I will comment back as much as possible. I am a very, very busy dad. But yeah, subscribe, like, comment. It does help out really quick. And the last thing that I want to give you and take with you, and I hope that you remember, is that effort always beats talent, consistency over perfection.